Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. It has been way too long. Let's get right into part 3 of this series where we're going to animate the girl that we created from scratch using a Adobe stock image to begin. So I will make this available now on the Real Illusion store under Boxels, so you can have this. It'll be under your template, actor, human, and you'll see Boxels underneath here. It'll be in that folder once you download it. But for me, it's under custom, simple vectors, and I'm just going to drag her right on. Now, the first step I take whenever I bring in a new character is I like to hit this 0 key, brings her to the 0 center position, and then I like to hit curve. And I don't know why it's not working. It usually highlights it, but there we go, hit curve. Maybe it's a little bug, or maybe that's how they designed it for this new update. Now that she's in the center, one thing we didn't go through yet was organizing the colors. And so we're going to take her back into composer mode just so if you're following along, you can group her colors. And I think I already did this, but let's go back in and make sure that we did it right and teach you how we did it, as it's been a while. So once you are in the composer mode, and I got here, obviously by this point you should be able to distinguish between composer mode and stage mode. I hit composer mode, and now that I'm in composer mode, I'm going to hover over SVG group editor, and let's click that. Opens up our editor like this, and it does look like I've already organized things, so I'll just talk through this briefly. It's really up to you. There should be an option that pops up and say, hey, how do you want to organize this? And I actually created all these folders new. There's different buttons you can use. Right here is add a folder. You can load color groups that you've already saved. I can save this color group so that I can reload it. But essentially what I like to do is just separate things, right? And so here, our folder structure, our top one is going to be face. And within face, I created folders. I want the eyes, so I can play the eye colors, the eye whites for the highlights on certain eye expressions, the eye black. We've got our eyebrows, and then our eyeline expressions, which are things like these side ones. I can click on here and it'll highlight them for me, etc., etc. And then I create a directory for clothing, just so we can change things easily. We've got the top, the bottom, matching earrings, the headband, and shoes. Then we've got our skin color, so we can change the color of the skin and really easily for different nationalities and different personalities. And then we've got the cheek blush here with the freckles. So it's just a matter of creating folders using these tools down here. Here you're going to add a folder. You're going to select shapes with the same color so you can easily identify and drag them into a folder. Then you can also go over here to sprite, and you can focus on just one sprite, which is nice. So rather than try to figure out what belongs to what, you can come over and you can work through the layers here. It looks like I'll need to do a new tutorial because I had already accomplished this, and I am working on a new character for a different video on one of my YouTube channels. So just watch for that. But once you're done here, let's just go ahead and get out of this. Go back to stage mode. Then it's as easy as clicking on your character and editing your colors through the SVG color editor. And let's say we just wanted her skin color to be a different shade. Boom. Now she has a different shade tone of her skin color. We could change her outfit. I can go into clothing at the top. Let's give a nice... Let's just choose one of these random ones, and I'm going to copy this here, copy, and then I'm going to go to the earrings and paste it so it matches, and then to the headband, if I wanted it to be the same, there you go. And so she's changed, and then we're going to do the bottom. Let's go ahead and give her black pants. Well, no, let's do something different. So she's got blue. Let's go with a darker shore. There we have a new character. And that's the idea with the color grouping, which is nice because previously you had to go in and change everything manually with the former Cartoon Animator 4. Now that we've got the color grouping out of the way, on all of my Boxels characters, I tend to add a lot of excess. And I like to do that because there's certain things and expressions that I want, either hands or eyes or mouths or side eyes. So the first thing I do on any of my characters is I come into the sprite editor, and I just look at what I have to work with. So let's go to the face. And you'll notice on this face, the normal nose is not there. And it's because I don't use the nose on a lot of my characters. So I'm going to just turn that off or hit empty. And then on the face as well, we have these right and left expressions, right? And so there's certain times that I want to use these expressions, but to just keep them off for now, I'm just going to hit blank. There's the right side, blank. And now it's looking more like the girl I wanted to have by default. We have different ones. We have freckles. We have, blush underneath different parts. I'm going to turn off the blush on the cheek left and cheek right. And for this girl, I don't want eyebrows, so I'm just going to come in here. You do have different eyebrow options for expressions. I'm going to just turn it off. And like I said in the very first video, this character took me 5 hours because I did excess. And I did that because I wanted this character to have it all. The nice thing with these simple vectors, and let's go fix her mouth. As much as I like that mouth, I want a different default. Let's just go and see, what did I do here? Sure, let's choose that mouth. But the reason I set it up this way is I can take this character, export it back into Illustrator, and create a whole different character using the exact same facial expressions. That's why I like these simple vectors, because it transposes over to another character easily. So you can create a plethora of characters. And you can see here in my custom characters, that's animation. I want actor, and I want simple vectors. Let's get rid of our search term. I could take this this whole facial thing and go back into Illustrator and create any number of characters, like this boy and different things, or a whole different character shape and set, like the face is different and different things. So that's the power of doing it simply like this. So if you're just doing explainers or a little series with kids videos and you want simple characters and don't want to spend hours and hours, I took 5 hours on this character. So now you can do this as well. Download it on my Boxels channel on Real Illusion. You can take this and go create any number of characters off of this one base character setup. All right, so I like that. We're gonna go ahead and leave that. You can, let's see, you can even turn off the headband if you want. I'm not sure why I put 2 there, but you can replace that. We'll keep the headband on. Cool. And then on the body, we have all of our hands. And if there's things that you see are missing, you can do the following to add more. Let's say you wanted to add another nose or another cheek blush. What you would do is click on the character, go over to composer mode. Let's export this to SVG. And again, if you don't have your editor set up, in the first video we talk about how to do that under preferences. Mine's Illustrator. Gonna let that load. All right, there we go. So you could come in here and let's say we wanted to add even a hand or some other, let's go back to Illustrator. Some other part of this character. We would come in here under the hand. I'd create the easiest thing for me to do when I'm in Illustrator is just copy. So let's say I wanted to create another one of these. I just copy. I rename this 30, whatever you want to say, fish bump. Then put that colon in there. And then this is where I'd put my new hand. And I'd hit save. And I'd go back to Cartoon Animator after it updates. Be patient. This is why I like to create it all first, because I don't trust the software quite yet. It's been buggy in the past. So now that I've saved that, I should be able to, let's go see what hand I did that on. I didn't even look. It was the left hand. So we'll come back here. We click on the left hand. We go to the sprite editor. We come down, you'll see, well, you should see, you'll see it here. And now it did do it. Let's just go back in, but it didn't rename it. So let's just go see why. Come back in here, the thumb, it's all there. Let's just go like this, and so we can tell the difference. I'm gonna delete all those, and then I'm gonna hit save. Back to Cartoon Animator. It may take a second to load. And now if I hit left hand, sprite editor, scroll down, there it is. So for some reason, it's not updating the name, but it's definitely adding the additional hand that we put there. So I'll have to reach out again to Real Illusion's bug page. Let me just show you that. Whenever you run into something that for sure looks like a bug, come to Real Illusion's feedback tracker. You'll see on here that you can create a new feedback or a new bug tracker. And you're just going to come in, log in, hit new, and you'll fill this out. And I'll do this off screen. You'll say what your product is, Cartoon Animator 5. You'll select the version, say bug, and then you'll describe what it was with your OS. But that's how Cartoon Animator handles bugs. So if you see something like that, that's definitely a bug. submit it there. And while you're here, you can go look at these and vote on these. If you want a different thing, if you want something new in Cartoon Animator or any of their software, come and vote. You know, I'm not biased or anything, but you'll see some of the top voted ones are mine, and I'm asking Cartoon Animator to, you know, push this through different things that would help so much in the animation process with their software. All right, so that's how you add things. You could do the same here on the face. Let's say we wanted to add a nose. What you do is you can add one here, add new element, or you can export it in your SVG editor and add it there. So let's just go back to our Illustrator and just do a quick nose. So I'm going to click on this nose, find, and then here we have different noses. So again, I'm just going to copy. I'll call this nose example, colon, come in here, copy, paste. All right, and let's just do something funky with this nose. Let's just let's just add a point and just go like this, like a witch's weird nose. Let's just see what that looks like. I'm gonna hit save, and we're still linked, so it should come back over to Cartoon Animator. Now there are more ways than one to do this. This is just one way, using the editor, the vector editor, because this is a vector. The other way is to just add sprites. So now if I click on nose, sprite editor, let's see if it did right there. And again, there's that bug. It's not renaming it like I am in Illustrator. So that's one way to add new elements to this character. The other way is to just use the add right here. And you can export vectors. We won't do that in today's, but you could add glasses, you could add different eye things and such. And so that's another tutorial for another day, but that's just a simple way to hurry and add. Let's say you needed a hand or a nose or a facial freckle or whatever it was, an eye line, different expression. That's one way to do it to the character. And what's nice is because the nose has already been set up in the 360 head creator, it'll just automatically work, you know, when you add these different elements, which is really nice. Okay, back to stage mode. Now that we have discussed that, let's go ahead and turn these off. So I don't want her brows. I don't want her nose in this one. I don't want her cheek blush on, nor do I want her side expressions. And let's go change her mouth to just that one. And, you know, her eyes, you know, there's lots of different expressions we could do. Sure, why not? That's kind of interesting. I actually like that one. Okay, or we're playing around too much. And there's the squint. Yeah, I'll just do that one. Total nerd here. No bias or judgment. Now that we've got her all ready to go, now we're going to make sure that we have opened up our timeline down here with this button. And I have clicked on the character in the scene. You can click on her here. If you have multiple things, you can lock things so they don't get moved around once you like them. Once we are ready, we open up our timeline and we open up our transform, our motion, and our face. We'll deal with the other ones as we need to. And the power of Cartoon Animator and the time-saving power is pre-defined animations. So if I go back to content, not my custom template pack. These are packs I've purchased from Awesome Dog. I think it's, yeah, Awesome Dog. He's one of my favorite 3D creators. And let's say I just wanted to see this girl dance. Okay, I'm going to hit dance. So it searches all my packs that I've purchased. And I can take any of these 3D motions and I can just say, all right, let's get her to do, I don't know, let's just choose one. The Russian dance. Why not? Let's see how that looks. I'm going to hit play. What this does is it opens up the import 3D motion window. I'm going to hit play. That's kind of fun, you know. Now you're going to see weird things, squonky things like this, and that's okay. I'll show you how we fix that. I don't like that one as much. Let's choose a simpler one, but I'll show you how we fix that. Why not? Ice Ice Baby. Nod to the 80s. Ice Ice Baby. Bum bum ba bum ba bum bum. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Why not? Let's do that. So I'm going to hit apply to timeline, and it applies it wherever I was at in the timeline. In this case, I was on the very first frame. Give that a second. And this is the power of Cartoon Animator. People have created motions, and you can share them. You can sell them. You can import 3D motions like this, et cetera, et cetera. So I like this. Let's say I like this. Cool. Now all we got to do is fix some things. Okay. So because I have the face tab clicked on and open, I can drop this down, and these motions are all predefined and set up for me. But we need to fix a few things. So on this girl, we see as we scrub through the timeline here, we see her arms go, her hand go through her hip like that. And I'm pretty sure they need to be in front. And depending on how your character's set up, mine's set up in a way where the arm is all one piece. So I'm going to go over to the 2D motion key editor, which is the skeleton editor. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. That just shows me what I wanted to do is to go to the layer editor, not the motion key editor, because the motions are already there. We can tweak them in different things, but we want the layer editor. So I'm going to click this, and we want her left arm to be, if you hover over, you can see little help menus sent to the front of her hip. And then if we scrub through a little bit, it also goes over her thigh. And so we're going to want her left arm as well to be over her left thigh, which is right there. And then as we scrub, we want her right arm to be in front of the hip. And that fixes it. And now by the time she's here, we'll just go left arm, or yeah, left arm behind hip, right arm behind hip. And you can see, you know, we are saving so much time, although we have to edit these things. I'm okay with that, you know. And then right here, we just go do it again. And I'm pretty sure if I come right here, this is the motion, and so that's in front, and that's in front. I'm wondering, copy, I've never tried this. That would be cool if I could just copy paste it. Let's say right here, I click on this, paste. Did it work? It did. How interesting. So that actually saves a lot of time. I've never done that before. I don't know why. I've just OCD worked on it. Okay, so here we'll want her right arm behind the hip and her left arm behind the hip. So you get the point. You come through, and now if I hit play, let's just play up to this point and then hit our slice tool, our set end frame. I call it the slice tool. Repeat, play. There you go. And you could do that throughout the whole thing, and within 5 minutes I've got this entire animation that would have taken me hours, potentially a day, just like that. Now there will be plenty of times where you're going to want to animate manually, and that's actually pretty easy. But the power of Cartoon Animator to me is I can come in, there's so many different animations. So let me hit stop and just show you a few of the ones and what I enjoy most about this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my search there. I'm going to come in here and scroll down. I'm in the wrong packs. There we go. These are all packs you can get on Reallusion, and there's some default ones that I really like, you know, where I don't have to worry about moving and acting as a female figure. I have all these different motions that I can use, angry, you know, just different things that make it super easy for me to animate. So let's just do this for an example. I'm going to click on her. I would save my project, file, save project if I was worried about this. I could drag in a new version of this girl, but I don't want to do that right now. I'm just going to remove object animation, and I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to hit default pose, reset, full body, and let's just fix this. And I did notice something. So let's go ahead and get a new version of her in here. You can right click and remove object animation, but to make it clean, we're just going to get a new one. So I'm going to go to custom, and yours will be under template, actors, Boxels, and then I'm going to drag her in again. And I could have saved this girl, in fact, just to show you, if you don't want to, if you've set up a girl with a certain skin tone and facial expressions. So let me undo this. Just kind of going with the flow as we go here. Let's say I really like this girl, and so rather than try to figure out the color and different things, if you want to save her, you can. And so I'm going to come in here under Content Custom, Simple Vectors. I'm going to click off of that one so I don't overwrite it. I'm going to hit Save and call this Girl 03 Blue. So this will be my blue version. I hit OK. And now I have the original. I never overwrite the original, because you're creating a custom character. You can do this. And then I have the blue version. So I could do this, and if I ever need to bring her back in again for a different scene, that specific skin tone, hair color, etc., I have it right there. So that's super powerful. And I love how it resets it. And right now we're snapping to grid, which I don't want. I'm going to go edit, preferences, snap to grid, turn it off. Okay, now I'm not snapping to grid. Cool. So that's a really powerful way to, save different versions of your same character, so you can drag them in for later usage. So let's say we completely customize her hair, add some hands, and we want her to be a specific character. We just hit save. Okay, so now that we've got her back in the scene, let's delete this other one, and let's just manually animate this girl again. So I'm going to go ahead and zero pose her, smooth curve, and now we're going to use the 2D motion key editor. Now again, I could go in and turn off the facial expressions and different things, but for this I'm not going to, because we're just going to animate her as an example. I'm going to go ahead and open up the transform, and I like to have the face open and the motion. Now there's two settings down here that are super powerful. If you have a whole bunch of characters or even one character and you kind of get lost with all these different rows and columns, you're just going to hit this button right here, object related track. What that does is it only highlights and opens the one that you're working with. See how it has left hand transform and sprite? Right hand, it automatically, if you didn't do it this way, and let's turn it off, every time you clicked on one, it's opening it up. That is helpful sometimes when you're trying to move multiple things, but I like to have this on because it just focuses on the one that I'm working with. And we could start her off by just clicking and dragging. Alt left and right click on a PC, zoom in, and then it's Alt left click and drag, just zooming in so I could see a little bit better. You can make the bone a little bit bigger or smaller here, more opacity. I like how it is. And you're just playing around with different things. Now she has the locks on, and so I can take her hip and she can, do all sorts of things. I could lock her hand to a pull or something, and then as she moves, she's locked there. I could make her stretch bone and be exaggerated, and do different things. In that light, let's say we wanted her to hold on to a countertop here and not her feet. And now it's just a matter of, now she's holding on and doing her push-ups or her sit-ups or her chin-ups, whatever this would be, chest prests, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do, and it's just a matter of the trickiest part of animating. This is an animation course per se. This is just animating our girl and showing you how to get started, is making sure you set keyframes before keyframes. And what I mean by that is, let's say we wanted her to go from this position to this position. Okay, so I'll just hit play. Boom, there she goes. And let's say later we wanted her to come up to this position. Okay, and that's fine and dandy and it works. Let me slice that, hit play. But I want her to pause. And so what I mean by setting keyframes before keyframes is, if I want her to pause here, I've got to set a keyframe in the same position and then animate her to that position. Or with this, you can just copy, depending on how many movements you have, go forward 10 frames and paste. So that way she pauses and then she goes. And every single keyframe, you can come and set a transition curve. I need them to update this to where it's easier. There's a better way to do this rather than manually on each one. I see why they do it, but let's do smooth on this one. And then here we're going to do accelerate. Okay. And all that does is it allows a little bit smoother transition. Okay. And then we could take, say, and again, I'm just flying through this. I'll do another course where we actually do an entire video for YouTube. That'll be fun, but this is just to show you what you can do with her and then let your imagination run wild. I'm going to use the face key editor. This is my favorite part of the animation process in Cartoon Animator. And let's set her default for the very first. Let's say by the time she's here, she's looking down, not terribly far, and then she looks down a little bit more, and then she's up. And we'll give her a slight delay, and we just wee. Okay, cool. So play, wee, and just like that, we have an entire animation. Now, let's just play with her legs. Let's go back out of the face key editor to the 2D motion key editor. And let's say by the time she's here, we want her to, and again, I have on the stretch bone, which you typically don't, but in this, I just like the stretch bone because it's just cartoonish for me. But typically you don't have the stretch bone on. And you'll notice there's a problem here. It's defaulting. And I just wanted to show you this because this is super frustrating and important if you don't realize this when you're new at Cartoon Animator and almost any animation software. The reason her legs are moving around is because the entire time I've had this option right here, full body part. So every time I moved her hip, every time I moved anything, the full body, so every single piece got a keyframe. And so by the time it was back here, there's already keyframes because I did full body. What you want to do is selected part. It's going to save you a lot of pain and suffering. We'll call it suffering. Because, here, let's go back. Oh, I am on that. I'm going to copy this, copy, paste, and let's just move it and have it go a little bit forward and a little bit straighter. And let's do this here. Because if you leave it on that full body, it's gonna create one for every time you move anything, and it gets all sorts of funky, like you see here. That's just funky, and the reason is I had full body on instead of selected part in your 2D motion key editor. There's times you want the full body, but typically, as I've worked with Cartoon Animator, it's more rare than often, and so you just want to make sure you're watching that. Now let's say I'm just frustrated, I don't like any of this. You can come and delete these keys. You could come in and let's say you don't want her head to go up. Well, actually that looks nice, but you could delay things in the facial clip, move it around, delay when her head turns. Let's say you wanted her, instead of look down right here, you want her to look over, so you just got to pay attention. Where's that keyframe? If I came here, went to the face key editor and did this, it'll do this funky boom. You see that glitch? Which is, not pretty. And the reason is a lot of newbies to Cartoon Animator will deal with this. It's because there's two of them in there in the facial clip area. So I need to delete this one. If I want to overwrite this one, I could just do it here. I'm going to hit Alt, left and right click and drag. Where's my button? Let's try it again. There it is. So instead of being down, I'm on that keyframe, and then I can do something like this. So let's say I wanted to do this instead, and then I can do that. So the point is you can move things around. That's the power of this, and it tweens in between for you, and it just does all sorts of fun things as you learn to animate with your character. Real quick, let's say we really liked what we've got. Let's say we enjoy this animation that we did. We want to save it. We want to use it for some other character. And the way you do that is quite simple, actually. Let's get back. You want to make sure you're going to highlight the animation that you want to use. So there's two ways to do this, and it depends on how you're going to use it for the future. Let's say this is your main character and you really want to be able to just click and do a certain animation. For example, I did this one here. Just drag this in. I animated this frame by frame just for a YouTube video. I animated her sway dance, and I actually created an action for this. So if I right click her action menu, sway dance, you'll see her do this. I actually had to animate that frame by frame, but I wanted to put in an action menu because it's something that I use all the time. Let's extend this so she can sway back and forth, right? The way to do that is actually quite easy. So let me delete her, go back to our character, I'm gonna Alt, left and right click, drag in. And under the Collect Clip tab here, you have this black area, this black row right here. Left click and drag, and I can modify how much it extends. And then once you've highlighted the area of the animation, make sure you highlight it all, beginning, end. Like you could do a loop. In fact, just real quick to show you the loop, if we wanted to loop this, we'd want to copy this first transform, copy, and make it the last transform, paste. And then we'd want to copy her first head location, copy, double click, so it adds, and then paste. And we could create a loop. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, so now we gotta slice it, repeat, play. And now we have a loop, a perfect loop, because we ended where we began. And let's say I wanted to have this loop for future use. Let's say we first specifically for this character, we gotta make sure our collect clip is on, click and drag. Okay, I'll just put it to there because that's the last motion. Then right click, and we're going to add to action menu. We'll call this Wiggly Whomper. This something random. And so now hit play. If I wanted, all I had to do is, let's say we wanted her to do this again without having to reanimate it. I just right click her on the frame I want. I Let me get off of the face key editor, right click or action menu, Wiggly Whomper. And there it is. There it is. It does it for me. Everything. Boom. The Wiggly Whomper. Okay, and I could just have her repeat that forever if I wanted to. So that's a fun, quick way to just repeat animation, so you don't have to do it again. Now you notice there's a little bit of actual Wiggly Whomper there. So I'm going to highlight all this, move it back, and do this. So we're not getting that abrupt. There was an abrupt movement. It's because I didn't transition it. That's what this thing does here, is it transitions more smoothly to the next animation. And we'll show that in a future tutorial as well on how that works. Now, let's say I wanted to use this animation. Let's go back to simple vectors on this girl. Because this is assigned just to this one, I saved her separately. I want to be able to use this animation for her as well. So to do that, it's actually quite simple as well. So if I right click her, there's nothing in the action menu because I specifically made it on this girl. Well, that's frustrating. So to get that, all I have to do is in the same collect clip, I'm going to highlight what I want right there, right click, and this time you can export facial motion, performance, and FFD. Oops. And the FFD is like the squash and stretch stuff right here. We don't have any of that in this specific animation, so what we definitely want is to perform. I want to export that entire performance, which includes the facial motion. So I'm going to hit perform. I'm going to call this Wiggly Whomper because that's just what we did. I'm going to put it in animation, YouTube, simple vectors. Why not? Save. Okay, so now we have a performance. And so I should be able to come over here, human. I'm under actor, custom. I want to go to animation, perform. Now there's nothing there, and it's because I just exported. I just exported it to a folder. We got to go get that exported motion. And typically, I believe the default is it lets you save it there, but I did it separately, so just for my own reasons and how I work. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go get that file right here, Wiggly Whomper, and I should be able to just go like this. Yes, perfect. So let me take you through that step again. I saved this motion, exported the perform. I saved it to the drive. I went and I found where I saved it, and I just dragged it into custom, under custom animation, perform. So now I should be able to take this, and she should do the exact same thing. Yep. And I could do that to any character. So we could go and grab, and that's the power. This is another powerful thing with this animation software. So I could take Miku and I could do the same thing. I could go grab that animation. Let's move Miku to the center. And let's go back, remove object, animation, put her, sure, right there. Why not? And then I go to animation, and the performance that I just exported, I could have Miku do the exact same thing. See that? Yeah. And so that's the power, another powerful thing you can do in Cartoon Animator. And let's say we wanted to create a little screenshot so we know what kind of move this is. Let's turn off Miku this time, turn off the other girl this time, and this is the capture we want. So I'm going to come in here. We haven't even talked about the camera yet. That's a whole nother topic we can talk about. But I'm just going to Alt, left and right click. I'm on Windows because this doesn't work on a Mac. They didn't make it for Mac. And now that I'm here, you see this blue box. If I come over here and I right click this, capture thumbnail, I've now got the Wiggly Whomper thumbnail. So I know, oh, this is the Wiggly Whomper dance that I created, a custom motion that I can use now on any character. So let's just for fun do one more example. Go to item, actor, human. This is just the default ones that come with Cartoon Animator. Let's just find Gary Pie's clown. Sure. That's a side character. Well, let's just see what it looks like. Just to prove our point, this is a custom character made by Gary Pie. There's very many great content creators out there. Gary Pie is very good. His actors are very smooth in their setup, and I appreciate his work. There's a good number of them in the Facebook group. Join the Facebook group, link in the description. And now that I have that, go to my custom animation, perform. And you can take this performance to any character. you know, and that's the power of this, which I really appreciate. So it's custom animation that I did once, and now I can go sell this. We won't do that in this video. We can go sell this on the Reallusion Marketplace as the Wiggly Whomper movement. So let me delete that, come back here, click on this character, and let's do something to finalize this tutorial, and then like and subscribe for the next one, where I'm going to take you through the entire process of creating a full-length music video for my kids channel, using some of the characters that I'm developing still and the ones I've already created. But let's finish this up by showing you the rest of the process. Now, it's super important to understand the difference between having your camera record mode and not having it on. So this is camera record mode. This is not having camera record mode on, just your normal stage. In here, Alt left click, I can move around, Alt left and right click and drag. I can go into 3D view and, you know, see my 3D view. There's all sorts of different views, so you can move things around. Let's say I wanted her to move forward, and there's so many things that we can discuss, but for the simplicity of this tutorial, we're just going to go through the basics so you can get going. Camera mode is super important to understand, because whenever I'm in here, let me go back to the beginning, make sure I'm at the beginning clip. I'm going to open up this track here. Under here, I click here and I get project. And what that does is it opens up this project row. Project, camera, sound effects, music. Okay. I'm going to click camera. And when you're in this camera mode, let's go move over to frame 50. I'm going to zoom in camera mode with the red frame box there. This is not camera mode, this is camera mode. You're actually controlling the camera as an object. So now when I hit play, you're going to get that camera zoom. And just like other transform and motions, you can do a transition curve on the camera. We're going to make it smooth, or let's just decelerate. Nice and smooth there. And then let's say we finish it off by coming back, copy this keyframe, copy, Control C, paste. And so we have a zoom in, and then let's do this transition curve, accelerate. So it gets faster as it gets closer. Boom. Okay. And so camera mode is treat camera as its own object. When you're in camera mode, what you want to be careful with, I'm only ever in camera mode when I'm ready to mess with the camera. Otherwise you forget. And let's say you're like working on her here, which you can do, and you actually, I need to zoom out. As soon as you do that in camera mode, you've created a key for the camera. And now we have this funky thing. So I'm always first coming into camera mode and saying, okay, this is where I actually want her in the frame that people are going to see on YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is you're working on. And then every other time that I'm working with things, I'm doing this, and I'm just in this mode, because this doesn't matter. You can go anywhere. But when I go back to camera mode, the camera's set. It's just like in the 3D software. In fact, you can come in here in the 3D software and see it as well. In the 3D view, excuse me. And so just be aware while you're editing to pay attention to what mode you're in, and to only be in camera mode when you want to use the camera to move around. And I usually do that at the very end, once I've got all the animations of the characters and the scene done. But I also do it at the very beginning to set the stage of where I want things to be. That's camera mode. Next, once you're done and you're ready to go and you like your animation, you're going to want to make sure that you have the right time, because you don't want to export this entire scene. You only want to export what you need. So in this case, we're going to go to frame 205, and that's where you use these two buttons here. You want to start frame, which is over here, and then the end frame. That's what this red flag is right here. You can move it in this section or this section. So I'm just going to hit that, and that ends my scene there. I'm going to hit repeat so I can just kind of keep a loop on it. I like to just play it and see and watch it a couple times. Say, okay, what do I need to edit here? What do I need to fix? And once you are good with everything, ready to export, we're going to go to render, video. And depending on your usage, go Google or search on DuckDuckGo is what I use now. I'm trying to get away from Google. Go search different frame sizes and different frame rates. I usually do 4K for my stuff. And then my range, instead of the entire thing, I want to use my range, which it's gonna use. Let me get out of this render video range. Well, you saw it defaulted, but I clicked all and then I clicked back, and so it's not a bug, it's just an issue there. So I'm going to put 205. 0 to 205, which is right here. And then to make sure you get a transparent video, I always am going to use move. Yes, the move format and transparent video right there. And I just leave this to 4, default frame rate of 30. You can change that depending on your needs. I rarely ever do. Yeah, and that's it. And once you're ready to export, you've got your frame selected, you've got your size selected. If I wanted to do a vertical one, I would uncheck this, and let's say it would be 1080 by 1920. And now I can click out of this and I can actually have the window from my phone. And I like to do that first, so I go render video first, and then I can just get out of it because it shows me, oh, this is what it's going to look like in my phone with that red box. But once you are ready, you're just going to hit export. Once you've decided everything you want, export. Yep, you may have to install this. On Windows, it's saying in order to use move video files, you need to have the software or codec to decode the format. That just means install a software that I use right here, VLC. Where did it go? I don't have it in my taskbar. VLC. I use VLC Media Player. Just go Google VLC Media Player download. Make sure you get it from a proper source. Let me just see what VLC Media Player. Just make sure it's from videoland.org. Otherwise, you're going to get spam from anybody else. Videoland, VLC download. That's my player, and you can download codecs in that. Great. So you hit OK, and then you find a folder and save it and export it, and it exports as a transparent movie. And once you've got that, you come into a program like Premiere Pro, which is what I'm using for this tutorial, and you can do all sorts of fun things. They've got a new AI which deletes pauses, filler words. There's a lot of fun things you can do in Premiere Pro. There's also After Effects, which is another lesson for another day, which also works with Cartoon Animator and After Effects. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Look for links in the description for this character and the different things that I spoke about, the feedback from Real Illusion to submit bugs and to vote and help change the software for your use. The VLC player, so you can play movie files on Windows. And I also will leave some links in the description on other things spoken of in this series. I do appreciate you being here. Please like and subscribe. Share in the comments below what you thought, what I missed. And I do apologize. I'm a little scattered on this because it's been so long, but I've been distracted with many projects. And I look forward to sharing the next project with you and doing a full video together.